Water is the most intimate utility in a house. It touches the skin before breakfast, fills the kettle, becomes steam in the shower, and follows a family through every private ritual of the day. Yet it is often treated as a minor kitchen decision, solved by a handsome bottle or a filter beneath one's sink. That is a curious contradiction in a carefully designed residence. We specify stone, lighting, air, and joinery with exacting attention, then allow every liter of water to arrive with scarcely a thought. Pillar 4 of the 9 pillars of wellness design asks a more serious question. What would it mean to treat water as a luxury utility, engineered throughout the home rather than merely dressed at the tap? The answer begins with an honest distinction between water that is municipally safe and water that is specifically excellent for the household receiving it. Municipal treatment is one of the great public health achievements of modern life. Its task is substantial and admirable: to supply safe water to an entire population at a cost a city can sustain. But a municipality cannot tailor its work to the final 100 meters of pipework, the age of a building, its service lines, its storage tank, or the preferences of one family. A household, on the other hand, can choose a more exacting specification. PFAS compounds have been detected in a meaningful share of United States tap water samples, while chlorine, chloramine, and their disinfection byproducts remain part of many distribution systems. None of this is a reason for alarmism. It is a reason for discernment. The Water Quality Report describes a broad public system. It does not reveal with much precision what occurs after water reaches a particular threshold. The sensible starting point is not a brochure. It is a laboratory. Commission an independent analysis from a sample drawn inside the property, looking for the concerns appropriate to that location: PFAS, disinfection byproducts, heavy metals, hardness, nitrates, and bacteriological indicators. A useful investigation samples twice. One sample follows water that has stood in the plumbing overnight. The other follows a proper run of the tap. The comparison can help distinguish an issue coming from the supply from one created by the building itself. A typical analysis may cost between $300 and $900 USD, which is modest beside the cost of fitting the wrong equipment. Testing does more than identify contaminants. It establishes water chemistry so that capacity, media, and maintenance intervals are designed with evidence rather than optimism. Once the evidence is in hand, a coherent whole-home system begins at the point of entry. Sediment pre-filtration protects everything downstream from grit and suspended material. Catalytic carbon follows, reducing chlorine, chloramine, and related compounds that so often affect taste, odor, and the character of bathing water. Where hardness warrants it, conditioning or softening may protect fixtures, appliances, and fine finishes. Salt-free conditioning is frequently the more elegant solution where the analysis and the brief allow it. These early stages do not make reverse osmosis redundant, and reverse osmosis does not make them redundant. Each stage has a particular office. The proper sequence gives the more precise equipment clean, stable water to work with, while improving the water experience throughout the entire house.
At drinking and cooking points, reverse osmosis provides a further level of refinement. The kitchen, pantry, primary suite, and gym can each become a quiet hydration station, supplied with water that is passed through an appropriately specified membrane. Yet reverse osmosis without remineralization is incomplete design. By stripping much of what is dissolved in water, it can also remove much of its flavor and character. The result is often described as flat, and quite rightly. Remineralization restores a considered mineral profile and a more satisfying mouthfeel. It is not a decorative extra. It is part of producing water one genuinely wishes to drink. Ultraviolet disinfection has its own place, especially where storage is involved or where a private supply raises microbiological concerns. And monitoring matters just as much as equipment, because a spent carbon bed or failing membrane should never be discovered by guesswork. The shower is where the whole home argument becomes impossible to ignore. A kitchen filter may serve a liter or two of drinking water, but a household can experience many times that volume through bathing. Heated water can release chlorine and certain volatile compounds into the air, precisely when the room is warm, enclosed, and full of steam. Warm water also remains in continuous contact with skin. It follows that luxury water design should not begin and end beneath the sink. It should consider the shower, bath, basin, and every tap at which the body meets water. The aim is not to make extravagant medical claims. It is simply to align the quality of daily experience with the quality of the residence. When water feels calmer on the skin, smells cleaner, and supports an unhurried bathing ritual, the effect is very real even before one attempts to measure it. Molecular hydrogen is an intriguing addition at the highest end of the specification, and it deserves both interest and restraint. There is legitimate preliminary research, but the marketing frequently runs ahead of the evidence. The sensible position is neither dismissal nor credulity. If a household wishes to include hydrogen water, the generator should be installed at the point of use, after full filtration and remineralization. Hydrogen does not remain dissolved indefinitely, so it is not an ingredient for a distant storage tank. Nor does a generator redeem poor incoming water. It should be treated as a properly plumbed hydration fixture, producing fresh water on demand at one or two carefully chosen stations. The question of personal health benefit belongs with a physician. The role of good design is to provide the cleanest and best mineralized water the property can reasonably support.
There is a practical dimension to all this. For a substantial residence, a complete whole home specification may run from USD $30,000 to $120,000 installed, with a properly plumbed hydrogen station often adding USD $5,000 to $15,000. Larger estates and private wells can sit beyond those figures. The costly element is frequently access, a discrete plant room, clean routes for pipework, coordination with joinery and stone, and room for service. The equipment must also be maintainable. Filter media, membranes, and ultraviolet lamps do not last forever, so a service agreement should be considered from the very beginning. The luxury is not simply owning advanced equipment. It is knowing the system is performing to its original intent, year after year, without becoming a handsome but forgotten cabinet. Two examples show how water design can belong to the wider life of a property. In a new private wing on the Doha coast, humidity control was paired with a whole-house system that included reverse osmosis, remineralization, and molecular hydrogen at two principal hydration points. The family reported better sleep during an extended stay, though it would be unwise to credit water in isolation. On the Costa Blanca, magnesium electrolysis filtration was specified in place of chlorine for a pool. The family reported swimming more often, finding the water gentler on skin and eyes. These are illustrations rather than proof. Their value lies in the design principle. When water is considered as part of the entire sensory environment, it can support habits that make a home more pleasurable to inhabit. The recurring mistakes are surprisingly simple. Bottled water is mistaken for a system, despite uncertain provenance and a needless plastic burden. Reverse osmosis is installed without remineralization. The kitchen receives attention while bathrooms are ignored. A fashionable product is selected before anyone has examined the water itself, and then, after an immaculate installation, maintenance is deferred for years. Water teaches the difference between luxury as appearance and luxury as substance. An exquisite tap can deliver water that has waited in neglected plumbing. A rigorous water strategy begins with analysis at the property, follows the evidence through a layered specification, and makes maintenance visible. That is the O&D approach to water as luxury utility. Start with the water arriving at the building, understand what happens after entry, and build a prioritized roadmap for the life that will be lived there.